think it's really important and now more than ever to learn to aspire to be great for yourself. Because I mean, especially right now, we're all locked in at home with ourselves, not with our teachers. We can see our students on the little teeny screen, but it's not the same thing. And to have that motivation and that drive and that will to thrive and seek excellence in ourselves, for ourselves, is something that I'm hoping will end up carrying over more as we come out of this too. It's like when I think when I've worked really hard, no matter what the person at the front of the room thought of it, and when I put in a ton of time and had these big goals about how I was trying to approach a role and really feel like I grew as an artist and put in that work and didn't care as much whether everyone understood that, or everyone had the same vision of me as I had for me, I've been so much happier. And, not to say that you shouldn't try to, work hard for your teachers. They're trying to get you somewhere, but I think it might be a good time to examine what that means, because I think that's a big danger for a lot of dancers, where we put so much of our self-worth in the hands of other people. And
Absolutely.
there's a fine line there. There has, obviously these people, their opinion matters because there are our leaders, our bosses, our, coaches, whatever. It's not like you can just be like, I don't care what you say. That's not, that's not what it is. But there has to be a greater sense of self than I think a lot of dancers let themselves have. And I think that's something I struggled with a lot as a dancer for too long, was just being so concerned about how I was being perceived and myself compared to other dancers that seemed like they were doing better by the standards of the person at the front of the room. And, instead of just focusing on my own development.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This profession really, breeds that. It's really hard to feel, like you're like, finally, like I can be accepted. It's competitive, it's so competitive. Whether that's outwardly stated or not, it is, and it's subjective, and that makes it even harder for whoever is that person in the front of the room. So that's a really important point about this profession.
Right. It's that person's tastes, and they can have a taste that's a different type or a different athleticism or like this. Somebody recently asked me if I could go back and say something to my past self, some advice. What would I say? And one of the things that I said is just, don't worry so much what everybody's thinking about you. And, try to be open to the fact that your self-doubt and your self-judgment and your feelings of not being good enough, maybe they're a little flawed. Be open that maybe I don't know as good as I think I know about how good I should be. And maybe I could be open to that. I'm actually okay, but taking in other people's reactions and judgments as your own voice, how to deal with that, which is a whole other subject of perfectionism. When we take in the negative voices that have been thrust upon us, and they become our voices. So that's one of my things that I would say to my younger self is that was put upon you. That doesn't mean that was the truth of the situation. That was other people's judgments of you. And a lot of time and energy and self-doubt is definitely wasted, and years wasted on not believing in ourselves or taking in the moment because we're so worried about who we need or think we need to approve of us and love us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it is very true for most people. The old adage, we are our own worst critics. And when you add in on top of that, the criticism from other people, I had definitely had that voice, for a long time. And it still kind of like fights to come back sometimes. We're hoping for everyone getting back on stage and gigs to get back on stage for. And yeah, I know there's just a lot of lack of answers, but but yeah, I think it's, we all just have to try to be patient and just try to really pull together in support of the things that we care about for ourselves and the organizations around us. There are, I think, something too for young dancers to think about, maybe in panic moments, about the future of the art form. And I certainly feel that way too. I'm really passionate about keeping dance alive on a larger scale. Is that, fortunately and unfortunately, the arts are always kind of in a precarious situation, especially in the United States. Funding is always a battle. Every recession that we've faced, all of these institutions kind of hang in the balance, and it's important for us to be dedicated to them for that reason, dedicated to being the artists and dedicated to supporting the arts around us as much as we can, because you know arts survive based on community. It's always a group effort to keep all these companies going, no matter what, even in the best of times, and most certainly in the worst of times. So I think anyone that is in a position to support the arts, I hope will feel inclined to do so. And for all the artists, I think we're in an interesting time where there's ways to support the arts without even having to contribute financially if you can't. We're in the social media age. If you're a young professional company member that's worried about the company that you dance for surviving and you want to see it through, there's tons of ways to support organizations online now, and just with your presence and spreading the word about how these things need help. Because I remember I joined PNB right at the start of the first or the last major recession, and it was a scary time. And a scary time for a lot of young dancers, but the arts are always viewed as the whipped cream, so it's not viewed as an essential thing, but it's a really essential part of our culture. And I think it's a very special thing as a young dancer to be a part of that. We are a part of the culture of our cities, and so that's something to maybe celebrate too in this time. Is I'm not just a dancer, at home alone. I'm a part of a larger, really inspiring community, and that's a beautiful thing. So
that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, well said. Well, thank you so much, Margaret, for joining us. You gave us so many incredible pearls of wisdom, and we're really honored that you shared all of this with us. Yeah, and we just congratulate you on your amazing career and the exciting journey ahead for you. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us for Turn Out and Tune In.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.